What do you know it? Right before I have to be able to start driving 30 miles a day to work and then 30 miles a day back from work, took my car into the mechanic and he said they found some oil in the coolant. Now, I had seen a little tiny dot of the oil, right? So I knew there was a head gasket leak. So I've been just not slamming on the gas or anything. And just there haven't been any new little dots, really. Like there's just been the dot that's been floating up at the top of the radiator cap where you undo the cap. It's never good to have a radiator leak like that, but the mechanic I go to has a guy who does the presentation to the customers, and they do this little thing with the tray where they have this little white paint tray, and they put the different fluids in the tray. Well, they put the coolant in there, and it's like brownish, right? The coolant is bright green with little dots of the brown oil. I know that they took like a little sample of the coolant and then a sample of the oil that's floating and mix it together, like mix it together to homogenize it. And then the guy's trying to sell me on a $3,000 head gasket replacement. I don't have $3,000. I have like $400 right now. Right? Like I got a raise at work and I'm paying off a tax lien to the state of California when my grandpa and grandma both died. Um, I was given some money from our family. I went up to Sacramento to go to night school, law school. My truck broke down twice, and I couldn't find a job. So I moved back down here, and I've been working on my little businesses, my software, my paralegal subcontracting business, and working at a gas station to make sure I can make the money to pay for the bills for my businesses, website hosting and stuff, and just my regular living expense. I spend like probably $1,200 of my paycheck, and I make 12. What is it? I make about $1,600 a month now, and it's going to go up. Hope maybe $500. We have this bonus we can make as assistant manager and manager, the duo at each one of our gas stations. It's Speedway I work for. Um, there's $1,000 bonus that the assistant manager and the manager split in half if they make all the numbers. So there's all these parameters of numbers. So it breaks down to $120 a week. As a cashier, you can make $50 a week. So we make $70 more a week of a bonus if we get the whole business working properly and we hit all these different numbers. Cashiers only have to sell these little candy bars. If they sell enough candy bars, we get this bonus, or the cashiers get this bonus of $50. So it's this thing where that helps us get our sales, so it helps us get our bonus, but them selling candy bars is the only way they can get a bonus. Some of the cashiers complain about it, like, oh, why do we have to do this nonsense? Da, da, da. Well, by the numbers, it's only one thing that a cashier has to do. And there's all these things they can do by just not being attentive to their reports that causes us to lose our bonus. So it's this funny little thing. Um, but of course, like I knew that there was this head gasket leak. It's not like they did anything to make my situation different, but there's this part of me that really doesn't appreciate the fact that I know they didn't take a that's a misrepresentation of the actual condition of the coolant, and it's a sales technique to try to get me to be more worried. Well, you shouldn't ever be not worried at all about a head gasket leak, like at all. But still, I'm probably just gonna go and get one of the head gasket leak seals that you put in the oil and run it through there for a little while, maybe run a second one or whatever, and then flush the coolant, and then just monitor the coolant every day to see if there's any oil popping up and not hit the gas too hard, not blow the seal out if it does gunk up the seal properly. A little tiny dot like that, I mean, I don't have $3,000 to replace the head gasket. I need to be able to drive to work. I can just not go on Gran Turismo races around the county type of thing. And it's a cool job, assistant manager. Um, I mean, I worked graveyard shift 2 nights a week and 3 swing shifts all week, um, all year for like a year and a half almost, and just not getting sleep was heinous. So getting off a graveyard was great, and then getting a raise. I got a $3.50 an hour raise. And when I get done with this tax lien, I get to pay the IRS next. So, really, honestly, it's something that's been on the back of my mind. It's funny, um, state and the federal government catching up to me like that. But I don't think the federal government's going to automatically levy my paycheck. So I'm going to probably stall for a number of months, 6 months or something. It's been the 6 months where I was planning on saving up $3,000, so I did have a cushion. Because every time I get to around $1,000, I'll spend like $400 or $500 on my software. Like pretty much every month, I'll spend like $300 paying some software developer to develop a part of doc completion forms because I don't have the income coming in from it yet. I have probably $5,000 more dollars of work I need to do before it's really viable and ready for market. There's just little things that cause people to not like using a program. What we're working on now is one of the big things. It's a single sign-on. Now, when you log in, it takes you to a screen where you click like 9 different buttons you can click that open up another screen each. But then there's a login for each of those for different programs that we have up there that have databases that we're beginning to synchronize. But just having to log in a second time makes people go, I don't want to deal with it, right? So, but a single sign-on costs like $5,000 to $10,000 to really implement. We're gonna do a first couple core parts of it, um, and it's keyed in with our subscription management system, paid memberships pro that we already use for the site. So basically, I just haven't been saving money in case of a vehicle emergency because I didn't have a vehicle all year. When I got my paycheck levied by the state, I started looking for second jobs, and then I thought, well, maybe I should just apply to the assistant manager thing. And I'm really glad I did though, because the industry has a lot of next level things. Like the manager position makes more an hour, and you get to work earlier in the morning. You get to go to work at 4 in the morning or start work at 4 in the morning. Um, just doing the daily paperwork for like 5 weeks now, every day. It changed everything. I had to undo some of the things I thought were the reasons why we were told to do certain things as cashiers. Um, and I worked on the Abrams tank as a tank mechanic in the Marines. So, I mean, pretty systematic tinker about how physical systems work. That's why I like paralegal work too, because it's a lot less like I'm not coming up with the argument. I am sometimes a very argumentative person, but I'm not coming up with someone's law argument. An attorney is telling our little group of paralegals what to do at Apex Law Service, and then we do the research and writing. And that's what I'm really much more well suited to do, anyways. Plus, it's a lot of responsibility for someone to rely on you as an attorney. Someone's an attorney to come up with, oh, here's the strategy. Everybody has heard horror stories about, oh, my fucking attorney had this strategy and I went with it because I was in the dark. But then, like, reading years later, 5 years later, 6 years later, I don't know why. I don't know. And this is what I felt in the first place is that I wanted to do this thing because our law is based on natural law. And when you feel you've been wronged or the tables are tilted or whatever, you automatically jump to anchor points in logic. That's how formal logic works. Well, there's a law case and a set of laws that deal with that exact thing. But maybe your attorney didn't tell you something because maybe it was more risky. Attorneys do evaluation judgment too. So I know I personally went through that, getting kicked out of the Marines, getting arrested for the fight I got into after I had a ship date to go to officer candidate school. I mean, there were things that bugged me. But now, 11 years later, 12 years later, 13 years later, actually, um, I am at peace with the fact that my attorney gave me, without all the explanation in the world of all the sub issues, the most conservative route and most likely to have the best success route through the law case. We took a plea bargain. I accepted 3 misdemeanors in exchange for the San Diego County District Attorney dropping the felony with which I was being charged. I drove off in a car right after a guy tried to run me over with the car, when we were already in a fist fight on the street, and then I ran past him. He got out to fight me more. I ran past him and took off in his car, so they charged me with felony vehicle theft. So there were 0 punches landed. Um, he threw his bicycle at me and it cut my hand, and so I was assaulted. But and then guy tried to run me over with the car, but I couldn't prove that, and he wasn't on trial. I was on trial because they caught me in the car, type of thing. So with all that type of shit going on, and just like not being able to find a job for 5 years out of paralegal training, and then finding a job and not getting paid for like 300 hours of work. The gas station sufficiently has enough little systems where if you just block out of your mind what people think about you, as a gas station attendant, you know, people with money aren't necessarily perfectly well visioned about what all happens. They come to our gas station every single day to buy their coffee and fill their tanks. It's a good business, so it's better to get into management and learn all the little systems. So it keeps my mind occupied while I'm building my paralegal and my software project. And, um, I'm just a little stressed about, am I going to break down now all of a sudden? Because I was trying to push my project forward. I sold my other truck to pay for my Zapier connection, the integration external module. It cost me like $5,000 ultimately to put my Zapier third-party integration together. So each one of these things, it's like it's a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice of some security and cushion I knew I probably needed. But so I also don't really quite appreciate the disingenuous presentation of the dang coolant being brown like Thanksgiving gravy when it's really green with a couple of pea-sized oil dots floating at the top. And that's, I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't mean there's not a head gasket leak. The only way oil can get into your coolant is if there's a head gasket leak. So, what are you going to do? I'm going to drive to work today. Hopefully, not break down. I get to go to a corporate training down in Carmel Mountains, so it'll be cool. I have to freaking wait until 9 a.m. to go to work, though. It was weird. My manager thought I wasn't a morning person because I asked to work swing shifts, but it was because I was working 2 graveyard shifts and I kept messing up on Tuesdays when I come in. I just put too many. What I would do is I would put too many $20 bills in this envelope when I drop it. I think I was dropping 60 and I put 80 in there and my numbers would be off by like $20, but then I'd never get written up, and that was wise because the money was actually there, but they weren't telling me. So all year I just thought, I was like, man, I was the type of like not back to a normal sleep mode on Tuesdays after working Friday and Saturday night graveyard shift. Some people are more affected by that than others. Other people have no problem going from swing shift to graveyard shift. I do because I normally get up at 3 a.m. and I start my day at like 4 is my natural time. Working with software guys in India and Pakistan and Bulgaria and New York, every single one of those people is a thing where I have to be up early, but I'm naturally already up. So now I have something I can do in the morning. Honestly, it's this cool little thing that I now have something I can productively do at 3 in the morning, because I work with people on the other side of the globe. So that's why I really don't want to break down and lose my little position as an assistant manager, because then I lose part of my paycheck. And if I dipped below my $1,200 that I need to pay all my bills, I would be so bummed if I lost my software that was online. One thing about that is that the core part of it only cost me $90 to keep the server up. So obviously, I let all the extremities fall apart. It's just a huge pain in the rear end to reset up a ClickFunnels, a Stripe. Okay, Stripe doesn't cost money. ClickFunnels costs $97. I have a Tap affiliate. I'm doing Code Canyon right now and learning more PHP, but I'm doing none of my own programming work. It's just to be a little bit more able to converse with my programmers. I don't know. It's just the type of thing where like all of a sudden I kept waking up at night like going, oh, oh, oh. Oh, I see, I see, I see. It doesn't matter that it's actually all green and there's just a dot. Like that's the actual color. That's what the coolant actually looks like, not what it looks like when I look at it. Just what it, the way you present. Like I'm like trying to commit, confront, complete, impeach the guy's presentation, like impeaching a testimony in a law case. I'm like coming up with scenarios about taking these guys to small claims court for intentional infliction of emotional distress. The main mechanic's my friend, though. I mean, we're neighbors over on the other side of the lake in Tel Dios, sort of. It just like leaves one of those types of bad tastes in my mouth. I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't know. I guess I look that stupid, but maybe I'm overreacting. I don't think I'm being very emotional about it. Just can't sleep, and I'm grinding all night on it. I broke one of my teeth. No, I didn't.